Giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Howard Kakwadash. I'm saying double honors to our apostles and elders here at Great Millstone. Main channels on today being what? Today is Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. May account it's on shutdown. It was on suspend. It's on strike because Esau is the damn devil. But all the videos will go up eventually. Hey, look here, man. You know, you probably seen the elders' videos of the Yeshawama and brothers responding to, I believe it started with a TikTok of this Christian on the right making the men of Sicarii look foolish by trying to say that they justify themselves by the law. And he kind of looked embarrassed because he thought the scripture said what he wanted to say or what he thought it said, but it didn't. But the brothers went to go find it. And again, they are openly denying Paul's letters. They're basically saying Paul was the author of confusion. They've said that before. This individual with the braids was really a novice. Okay, these guys are just complete novices and upstarts. They're obviously just, when they join their group, they obviously just get this little thing from their leaders, right? Information that they probably compiled together from reading a lot of Esau's books. And when it comes to the New Testament, they basically have a stance where, when it comes to Paul's writings, really the whole New Testament, but let's say Paul's writings, right, because I don't want to lie on them, that Paul's writings can be dismissed and applied when need be. And, you know, he said, oh, hell no, Paul's letters aren't inspired by the Most High. And listen, you can watch other Yeshawama's videos and the brothers' lessons respond to this topic. But what you can see clear as day, if you have the spiritual eye, you can see that this is the book of Acts all over again. The book of Acts is happening all over again. You have the word Acts is the Acts of the Apostles, even dealing with Yahweh Shai and his apostles, everything the apostles went through and what they were contending with, including Yahweh Shai, against the Jews, which they were known as the Pharisees and the Sadducees, but we refer to the wicked ones. It's all happening again today. And the argument is, to summarize, if you want the summary, the argument is, you have the believers who preach Yahweh Shai, crucified on the tree, raised on the third day for remissions of sins for the hopeful elect. And then you have the Jews, the wicked Jews, the scribes and Pharisees, who believe that righteousness is by the law and everything is based upon the law of Moses, and that they deny Yahweh Shai's sacrifice. They don't believe. If you want the summary, that's what it boils down to. And it's all happening again. Okay. And when you watch that video, you can clearly see that those men at Sicarii, they have made it abundantly clear that when it comes to reading the book of Acts and hearing the Acts of Paul, they believe what the Pharisees said about Paul, which they lied on him. What they said about him, basically saying Paul's a troublemaker and that he bringing Gentiles in and he's teaching contrary to Moses' law, which when you read the book Acts, explain to you exactly that that's not the case, but we know why they came to that conclusion, because even dealing with Yahweh Shai, they said the same thing. This man is an enemy to the nation. He said destroy this temple and he raised it up in 3 days, because he's obviously talking about his body. He wasn't talking physical, but that's what they used. And when it came to Paul and they were teaching about salvation by faith, and in the book of Acts 15, where they told those sects of Israelites not to concern themselves with circumcising themselves by the law of Moses, but instead refrain from the evil practices that they were involved in that was a snare unto them, such as eating food sacrificed unto idols, drinking blood, etc. Because that was a thing back then. And that's why even in the book of Revelation, Yahushua got mad at those certain churches because he said what? He said, you guys still hold the doctrine of Balaam and Jezebel, and causing our people, causing them to eat things sacrificing to idols, because our people was really big on that. And those churches, the ones he was referring to, still had a lot of that going on. So Yahushua said, get rid of it. But they used that counsel that they made to say, oh, Paul is going around teaching people that they go against the law of Moses, which that wasn't the case. But you can clearly see that these men in Sicarii are agreeing with the Pharisees. They're agreeing. They're saying, yeah, Paul was wrong. Right? Now, I'm just going to touch on this part. You can watch the other video. It's all been said, right? Brothers expounding on it. I'm just going to point out the fact that the book of Acts is happening again, right? In real time, and it's happening right now. You have a sect of believers who walk in Yahushua's stead and preach salvation to the Israelites and the Israelite foreigners, the hopeful elect, and your justification is by faith. And then you have the sect of those Pharisees who call themselves Jews and the Sadducees who says no, righteousness is by the law. And ultimately they were anti-messiahs. Because when you break down their stance, when you break down their belief, how they feel towards Paul, how they feel towards Yahushua, and how they feel towards the law, what justifies you, they are denying Yahushua. They are openly contending with Yahushua and the apostles all over again. And they don't even know it. That's how we know that everyone is in their correct lot. Ecclesiastes 1:9, the thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It had already been of old time, which was before us. And Yahushua said in Matthew 23:34, therefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them ye shall kill and crucify, some of them ye shall scourge in your synagogues, like Paul, and is happening again, all right, spiritually, by the man, starting with the men of Sicarii, and persecute them from city to city, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, the son of Bacharias, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. What generation was he referring to? Well, that generation, were they judged by thermonuclear fire at that time? No, it's talking about now. That generation is back here today. And when he was cursing out those wicked scribes and Pharisees, he was getting on them for their high-mindedness, because part of their high-mindedness is where they said in their heart, like if you read up to verse 30, 29, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because ye built the temples of the prophets and garnished the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. Wherefore ye be witnesses unto yourselves that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets. So he's saying you're the same ones, because they believed, they said, if that was us back then, we wouldn't have done that. And Yahushua said, you the same ones. Because the contention between Yahushua and the wicked scribes and Pharisees was simple. He said to them, plainly, you guys talking about Moses' law, you guys talking about your Abraham's seed, why are you contending with me? Because clearly Moses wrote of me, as he says here in John 5:44. How can ye believe which receive honor from another, and seek not the honor that cometh from Yahweh only? Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuses you, even Moses, in whom ye trust. For had ye believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if ye believe not his writings, how shall ye believe my words? So they were hypocrites. They were the law. I'm a Jew. I'm a priest. I'm a chief priest. I'm the king. I'm the man. And we don't know who you are. And he said, well, how can you say if you're of Yahweh and you're Abraham's seed and you follow Moses' law when Moses wrote of me? And but in the end it goes, it also says, yeah, let's get that. Paul's writings, Paul's letters. You know, we done brought that out several times. Okay. Do rest. Right. So 2 Peter 3 and 15. 15. And account that the long suffering of the Lord is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul also, according to the wisdom given unto him, hath written unto you, also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable rest, meaning wrestle, as they do the other scriptures, unto their own destruction. So Paul, his letters weren't no different from the other scriptures that they wrestle with until their own destruction. Right? He even tells you that when it came to Moses, that they still couldn't understand that. They wrestled with it. See if I can narrow it down. Fail this day. Okay. One second. Okay. So 2 Corinthians 3 and 15. Verse 13, it says, not as 12, seeing then that we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech, and not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Israel could not steadfastly look to the end which was abolished. But their minds were blinded, for until this day remaineth the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in Hamashiach Yahushua. But even until this day, when Moses is read, that veil is still upon their heart, because they don't understand. Now, this same group Sicarii, who want to talk about they're keeping all the laws because they believe that they're justified by the law. That's why the scriptures tell you plainly that Yahushua is either salvation to you or a stumbling block. But this same group, they wrestle with Paul's letters. It says, well, as they do the other scriptures, such as Moses' law, because they still don't even understand or can properly break down Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, regarding the issue of grape to this day. They don't understand it, and they're offended at it. So just like Yahushua told them, Moses wrote of me, but you don't even believe him, because you're not going to understand. He said, you're not going to understand my words. And just like it says, Paul's letters, where some things hard to be understood, they that are unlearned wrestle with it as they do the other scriptures. Because even when they read Moses' law and the Torah, of which they boast in, keeping all the laws, they don't even understand they don't even understand the law of Moses when it comes to, in particular, Deuteronomy chapter 22. So it's no surprise that this is all happening again. The book of Acts is happening again. As 2 Peter 2 and 7 says, unto you therefore which believe he is precious, Yahushua, but unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner. And who is this who's openly allowing or rejecting that stone. It's the same individuals that seek to boast themselves in the law. It says, and a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto they were appointed. Appointed. Because here's the thing, you want to seek justification by the law and say you're perfect in the law. I keep the law perfectly. I'm justified. I keep the law perfectly. It's like, okay, well then, where does Yahweh Shah come in? And right there you stumble. That's what this is all boils down to. Teaching that in the kingdom of heaven there's still going to be a temple, which that's basically saying that Yahweh Shah's sacrifice wasn't good enough. His sacrifice wasn't good enough to take away wickedness and evil from Israel. When the new covenant clearly says that iniquity shall be no more found in Israel, and that we still gonna have to go back to sacrificing for our sins, and that we're gonna die. So that's openly denying Yahweh Shah. You're denying his sacrifice without actually saying it. But that's what it boils down to. So even when it comes to Paul's letters, because Paul was just speaking that of what? Yahweh Shah. But they denied his letters as well. You see? And tried to lay blame to him. But listen, if he was really guilty, because they're basically siding with those Pharisees and say, yeah, Paul was guilty. Well, if he was guilty, then why wasn't he found guilty in both the Jews' court and in the Roman court? So if you go to like Acts 23, this is when he was amongst them. Verse 9, and there arose a great cry, and the scribes that were of the Pharisees part arose and strove, saying, we find no evil in this man, but if a spirit or angel have spoken unto him, let us not fight against Yahweh. Because they like I said, they tried to lie. They just wanted Paul to be put to death because he was just like walking in the same shoes as Yahweh Shah. Right? And if you go to chapter 24, you had an Israelite, Tertullius, trying to accuse Paul, right, before Felix, that he was basically guilty of death. But as Paul said, verse 11, 10, then Paul, after that the governor had beckoned unto him to speak, answered, for as much as I know that thou hast been of many years a judge unto this nation, I do the more cheerfully answer for myself, because that thou mayest understand that there are yet but 12 days since I went up to Jerusalem for the worship, and they neither found me in the temple disputing with any man, basically causing a ruckus, neither raising up the people, neither in the synagogues nor in the city, neither can they prove the things whereof they now accuse me. See? But this I confess unto thee, that after the way which they call heresy, right? Because that's what they're trying to say. Oh, he's a heresy. He's saying you ain't got to follow a law. He's saying you ain't got to keep the circumcision, which that's not what he was saying. All right. And that's why you stumbled at Romans chapter 4, which is about Abraham. That's why Abraham is set up in that position to condemn you, to how shall I say, rebuke you in your justification by the law, because Abraham is the example. The reason we're here today, the reason we're even here, is because of Abraham's faith. The circumcision came later. And that's the rebuke to you. That's why Yahweh Shah said, he said, I don't even have to accuse you, but Moses is going to accuse you, because the same law you claim you believe in is accusing you, because clearly in those letters, I am prophesied in them. This is why these guys are wrestling, right? So, because they're trying to say it's heresy, right? He said, but this I confess unto thee, that after the way which they call heresy, so worship I the God of my fathers, believers in all things which are written in the law and in the prophets. I'm going to jump down. Verse 18, it says, whereupon certain Jews from Asia found me purified in the temple, neither with the multitude nor with tumult, right? Who ought to have been here before thee and object if they had aught against me. So he was saying, if they really truly found me guilty of causing a ruckus and being this mischievous person, they would be here right now as witnesses against me. right? It says, or else let these same here say, if they have found any evil in me while I stood before the council. So he's saying, okay, well, can anybody else here accuse me of being a one who's causing a ruckus and heresy and throwing the city in an uproar by confusing the people? And right, it said, except to be for this one voice that I cried standing among them, touching the resurrection of the dead, I am called and questioned by you this day. He said, this is the only guy. So where was the evidence? Like I said, they actually had Paul in their possession. It says, but yeah, so, but that just goes to show you that this is the same generation back today. The book of Acts is being relived once more. You have Yahushua and the apostles that represent, and the disciples as well, which were thousands, which represent the elect standing and defending the name. Because that's another thing you read about in the Acts in the earlier chapters. What were they afraid of? What were they getting mad at the apostles for? Teaching in the name of the Lord. Now, what groups that stand stiffly against the name, that say don't teach in those names? You know what groups we talking about? Them guys in purple. And then you got these wicked scribes and Pharisees who say what? That righteousness basically is by the law, openly denying Yahushua, and that's why they will stumble when as soon as somebody says, "I'm justified by the law, I keep the law perfectly." Then the question is, so where does Yahushua come in? And guess what happened? He stumbled. He went to Romans 4. I don't know why he went there to try to prove a point, because that just proves our point and even the Christian's point that you're justified by faith. And he stumbled because you can't make sense of it. You're basically openly opposing and denying Yahushua. You're re-condemning Yahushua to the cross, and you're re-condemning the apostles to death, all again spiritually right now. That's what's happening right now with your doctrine, and it's really your heresy. That's what's happening right now, and this is why they're stumbling, and this is why the whole world is seeing. Just like the groups that openly denies the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. It's all happening as we speak again. Okay? With that, shalom.